Hello everyone, I Sneha Kashyap welcome you to Arkajan online distance learning course. So let's begin with module 2 of programming with Java. So the module 2 of programming with Java is all about the data types and the operators. So in this lecture, we are basically going to provide you a comprehensive overview of the data types and the operators, which are the very essential components of a Java programming. So you will understand the concepts of a crucial, effective coding and what are the various problem solving methods, and end of this lecture you will be able to build a foundation on our data types and the operators. So let's begin. Moving to the content part, the content basically contains with what is the introduction to the data types, followed by the variables. What is typecasting? Typecasting is all about when we convert from one data type to another. Operators in Java, assignment operators, bitwise operator, ternary operator, and operator precedence and associativity. So let's begin with what is data type and what are the different types of data types. So data types basically define the variable that can take in a program. So let's take an example. If the data is of contains a number, so we can just take it as integer type for the integer values. So in Java, data types are of two types, primitive data type and non-primitive data types. Let's look first into what are primitive data type and what are the different types of primitive data type. So primitive data type basically contains integer, double, char, boolean, byte, short, long, and float. Whereas when we talk about the reference or the non-primitive data types, it basically contains strings, arrays, classes, and interfaces. So let's look into what is primitive data type. So primitive data type basically contains byte, short, integer, long, float, double, boolean, and character. So when we talk about byte, so byte basically stores the whole number from minus 128 bytes to 127 bytes. Then short is again it stores the whole number which range from minus 32,768 to plus 32,768 bytes. Integer basically stores the number ranging from this byte to this byte. Long, long is basically it stores the whole number ranging from this to this. Then we have, these are the four different forms of integer. Next we have is float data type. So float and double basically stores the fractional data. So when we talk about the float data type, the float basically stores the decimals up to 6 to 7 place. But when we talk about double, double stores basically from 15 to 16 decimal places up to. So this is all about float and double. Next is your boolean. Now boolean deals with true and false. When I say true and false, I simply mean that suppose if I say I'll go to the market today. So if I'm going to the market today, so it will simply print 1. And if I don't go to the market, the given statement is being proved wrong. So it will print 0. So it basically gives the result in terms of true and false. So this is all about Boolean. Next is character. So it stores a single character or a letter or the ASCII values. So we will see the examples of the following data types and we will look into it that how it get into the program and how we use them. Moving to the first one, that is integer data type. The first one is byte. So as the name suggests, byte data type, so it can store the whole numbers from minus 128 bytes to 127 bytes. So this can be used instead of integer or other integer types in order to save the memory, where you can certain that the value will be within minus 128 to 127. So let's take an example. I have taken a class which is of access specified public, and the name of the class is main. Now what I am doing is I am giving a function called main, and I am passing the argument as string. Now this string argument has brackets, which means you can store the data. Now the data number is not being defined, but I can store the value here. So my main function has a return type void, and it is of a type static, and the access specifier to this is public. Now what I am doing is I am taking a variable naming my num. Now my num, what I have done is I have defined its data type as byte. Now since I have defined the my num as byte and I have assigned the value as 100, so what I can do is I can give a print command. So upon giving system.out.println in the bracket my num, it will simply print 100. Now what is this system.out.println? Now if we look into the C programming or C++ programming, in C programming for out statements we used to use printf function. Yes, and similarly when we were using C++, we used to use cout for an out function. Similarly in Java, we basically use system.out.println in order to print any function. Now what is the system.out.println? If we talk about Java, Java is all about class, interface, package and libraries. So in the Java, the topmost class in Java is object class, under which all the classes are created. So one of the class under object class is system, which is already defined in the library. Out is a keyword, or I can say out is a object which is used for the system class. And under this we have a println method which is being printed. So in Java we use dot operator in order to represent from like package to interface, interface to class, class to object, and object to method, because any method can be called via object. So we are using system.out.println. Moving to the next one, that is short. The short data type can store the whole numbers from ranging from this. Now let's go to the program first. So my main program, again the class name is main. What I have done is earlier I have stored the value 100. Here what I have done is I have taken my num and I have placed the value as 5000. Now if I give the command my num, it will simply print 5000. Next is integer. Again here what I have done is I have taken a class main of type public. I have given the main function with the return type void, keyword as static and access specifier as public. But what I have done is my num of type integer. Since the data type is of type integer, I have declared here the data type of integer. So I have initialized the value as 100,000. So what it will do is upon giving system.out.println, it will simply print 100,000 as an output. Next we have is long. Now long can store the large number of data types. So and when we talk about float, float basically stores the decimal and up to 6 to 7 decimal places. So what we do is when we take float or double, we assign the variable and what the value we have initialized, we mention f or d based on what the data type we have taken. So if we have taken float, we will simply assign f, and if we have taken the data type as d, so we will simply assign d. Now once we see this, so we have public class, class name. Next what I have taken is I have taken a main function. To this main function I have added a return type void. I have added a keyword static so that my value does not change, and also I have given the access specifier as public. Now what I have taken is I have taken two variables with the name num and my num. The name is basically assigned as float and my num is assigned as long data type. So since I have assigned the num with data type as float, I have given the variable as 5.75 with small f symbol. Now this basically denotes that the data type is of type float. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to print, give a command say system.out.println, and I'll give the variable num to print. So I'll get the output as 5.75. Now next is long minum. Now long minum, I have stored a large value, right? And with that I have given denoted with a capital L. So once I print the statement, I'll get the output as shown below. So these are the two outputs which I'll get upon printing this program. Next we have is Boolean data types. So very often in programming, we will see that the data type can only have one or two values. That is either yes or no, or you can say true or false, or it could be on and off. So where we have either of the answers, such type of data can be considered as Boolean. So how does this program run is, moving to the next topic. The next topic is all about, next we have is Java characters. So characters can be of both the types, that is character or a string. Now it depends on what we take. So suppose if we want to take a single character, or you can say single alphabet, then it could be character. Now here it could be an uppercase or a lowercase, but it will be denoted as character. But when we call for a string, suppose my name is Sneha. So Sneha can be called as a string. So the character data types is used to store the single character. The character must be surrounded by a single quotes. Like for A, it's given in a single quotation. Small c, it's given in a single quotation. So if we are defining any variable in such a way, then it will be considered as character. Moving to the string. So the string data type is used to store a sequence of characters. So you can also call as text. So string values must be surrounded with the double quotations. So let's look into the example. So we have here class with the name main and the type is public. So what I have done is, for this main class, I have given a return type as void, and I have given a keyword static and an access specifier as public. Now what I have done is, to this I have passed the string args. Now I have taken here total 5 variables, naming as migrate, my variable 1, my variable 2, my variable 3, and a greeting. So when we talk about migrate variable, I have initialized the value b, and I have taken a data type as character. Okay. Next what I have done is, my variable 1, 2 and 3, I have taken the data type as character, and I have initialized the value with 65, 66 and 67. Now here in the first case, I have assigned the value as character, and the variable also I have defined in a single quotation. And just now I said, like, if we are defining any character, that must be in a single quotation. But here what I have done is, I have taken character variable for my variable 1, my variable 2 and my variable 3. But at the same time, to this I have assigned a number. Since I have assigned a number, I didn't assign any single quotation. Here what it will do is, it will read this 65 as a ASCII code, and it will represent its alternative value. So if we look into the ASCII codes, 65 is being denoted by the alphabet capital A, right? And my variable 2 is allotted with the variable 66, and my variable 3 is initialized with the value 67. So 65, 66 and 67 represents the value A, B and C respectively. So what I have done is, I have taken first my variable with assigned the value of B as a character. Next three, what I have done is, I have taken assigned the value of type number, but I have given the data type as character. Third one is, I have taken the variable greeting, but here to this I have assigned the value as string and I'm trying to print hello world. Now you can see when defined with character I have taken single quotation and when defining a string I have taken double quotation. So what I have done is system.out.println I have printed my variable 1. Now since my variable 1 is assigned with value 65 and it was of type character, so character, what it will do is it will turn the 65 and it will fetch its ASCII code. So for 65 it's A, so it has printed A. Next is variable 2, so it has printed B. For variable 3 it has printed C. Moving to the fourth one, it is trying to print my grade. So my grade is assigned with the variable B. It's simply printing B. And at last we are calling for the greeting variable. So it will just print the term hello world. So this is how a Java character or a string works. So let's see another example. So here what I have done is I have taken, so far we have covered so many topics of data types. So what I have done is I have taken all in a single program. So again the class here is main with an access specifier public. I have taken the main function. In this main function the first variable is my num and the data type is of type integer and the value to assign to this is 5. Next is my float num. To this I have assigned the variable to my float num variable. I have assigned the value as 5.99f and I have given the return type or a data type as float. The third one is I have taken my letter variable with the data type as character and the value initialized to it is capital T. Fourth one is I have taken is my bool of type boolean and the value fetched is true. Next is the last one, my text, and I am taken of type string. Since I have taken type of string, I have taken a double quotation and I have typed hello. Now if I am going to print this all, so if we see system.out.println, when I give call for a variable my num, it will print the value 5. When I call for my float num, it will give the variable 5.99. If I call for my letter, it will simply print D. And if I call my bool, it will print true. And if I call for my text, it will print hello. So this is a basic simple example of a primitive data type and how it is being used. Another example, now this example is basically I have taken a program where I am taking certain items. Now cost per item is being mentioned in the program. All I need to calculate is total cost of all the items mentioned. So let's see how the program runs. Again, here the class name is main. I've taken the access specifier as public. To this I have added a main function which returns all the string values. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a variable of different data types. So first one is item of type integer. Now this item is trying to store the value 50. Since it is an integer, I can take the numeric values. So I've just stored it as a 50. And next, what I'm trying to do is I've taken a next variable naming cost per item. To this, I've assigned the variable data type as float and the value to this is 9.99. Since I've taken float, so I've just taken, just written like this as F. Now next is total cost. Now in order to calculate the total cost of the given items, so it should be the number of items into the cost per item. So we will get to know what is the total cost of the complete item, right? So another last one what I have done is I have taken currency. Now since the currency I have taken here is dollar, so what I have done is I have taken a character. So this dollar will be read in terms of a character and I have mentioned it in a single quotation. So let's move to the printing of the variable. So the first one, that the number of items. Now what I've done here is I've taken system.out.println. I've taken number of items. Now concatenating it, I'm giving items. So this item will immediately move to this part. It will read what is the initialized value to the item. Now since the initialized value to the item is 50, it will simply print number of items colon along with the space is equal to 50. So this is how my output will look. Now the way you want, you can represent your output. So this is how my first line output will look. For the second one, I want to show that what is my cost per item. So what I have done here is I just printed that the cost per item with a colon, and I am trying to fetch the value from cost per item variable. So cost per item variable is stored here, and its value is being initialized as 9.99f. What I have done is, so here it will read as 9.99f. Along with this, I have concatenated the currency. So it will simply print the dollar variable name. So cost per item will be $9.99. Next is system.out.println, the total cost. So total cost is again calculated here. So what it will do is it will read the item, it will read the cost per item variable, it will multiply both of them, and along with the currency it will print the program. So here it is. So cost of 50 item is $499.50. So this is how my data type program will run. Moving to the next one, that is non-primitive data types. So the non-primitive data types are called the reference types because they refer to the object. The main difference between the primitive and non-primitive data type is that when we talk about primitive data type in Java, they are the predefined, or you can say they are predefined and already stored in the library function. And while non-primitive, they are created by the programmer. Except for the string values, the non-primitive data types are being created by the programmers. Now, non-primitive data types can be used to call the methods to perform certain operations, whereas primitive they cannot be called. So, primitive type starts with the lowercase letters like int, but when we talk about non-primitive such as class or string, it always starts with uppercase. Next, primitive type always holds a value, whereas non-primitive always holds a null value. Example of non-primitives are strings, arrays, and classes. We will look now to each of them one by one. So the next topic is variable. Variable in Java is a container that holds the data that can be changed during the execution of the program. So each variable has a specific type that determines the kind of data it can store. It could be integer, it could be double, it could be floating point, it could be a string or a character. Now, variable plays a very essential role while storing the data and also while naming and assigning the value to it. So there could be a three possible ways or three possible types by which a variable can be defined. So we have local variable, instance variable, and static variable. So if we talk about the local variable is basically you define a keyword and you assign the value to it. Instance variable is a variable which uh, we basically use it as a instance for a class. So suppose, like if we say, let's say local variable. So local variable can be declared within a method, it could be declared within a constructor, or it could be declared within a block. But if we talk about instance variable, it is declared within a class but outside any method or a block. When we talk about the local variable that are only accessible within that method or a constructor or a block, but if we talk about the instance variable, it is declared within a class but outside any method or a block, as said earlier, but they are also associated with an instance of a class and are accessible within any method of a class. So the static variable declared within the static keyword within a class is called as static variables. Now, as I was writing earlier, int a is equal to 10. Now, if I give static int a is equal to 10, so such type of variables become static variables. Now, they are associated with the class itself rather than any instance of the class. So, these are the three major types of variables that we use in Java. Now, moving to these, let's look into it very clearly. As said earlier, so local variables, yes, of course, they are declared within the method or a block and can only be accessed within that member or block that must be initialized before the use. Instance variable, these are declared within the class but outside any method. They are associated within an instance of the class and can be accessed by all the methods in the class. Static variable, these are declared within the static keyword, belongs to the class rather than any specific instance that can be accessed without creating an instance of the class. Now let's look into this. Now variables, as said earlier, they are containers for storing the value. So in Java, there are different types of variables. So these variables could be string, int, float, char, boolean, double, and so on. Now these are nothing but these are the types of data, right? So string, what it does is it stores the text, say hello, or you can say Sneha. So when we write a string, we use the double quotation for it. Next is integer. So integer basically stores the whole number without decimals. It does not store the fraction, but it stores the whole number. Next is float. Floating point basically stores the decimal and it has the range of up to, it can store up to 6 to 7 decimal places. Char. Char basically stores the single character. It could be an uppercase or a lowercase, but always when we mention a character, we have to quote it in a single quotation. The last one is Boolean. Now, Boolean stores two value state. That is, it could be either true or false. Now, let's see how to declare a variable. Then we will see how to initialize a variable. So, how to declare or create a variable. So, in order to create a variable, we must specify that the type and what the value has to be assigned. So, the syntax goes like, we have a variable name followed by what is the data type attached to the variable and what is the value stored to the variable. Now let's look into a simple basic program. So I have taken a class with the name as A and I have given an access specifier as public. Now I'm trying to print my variables in a main method. Now you can see the name variable is of type string. So since it is of type string, I have taken double quotation. Now next is I'm trying to print system.out.println name. Now system being a class, out being an object of a class system and println being a method, it is being printed John. Now when I call for int mynum is equal to 15. So int mynum is equal to 15 and I am trying to print mynum. So it will directly print the value 15. Next what I am trying to do is I have updated the value of the variable mynum. Now since I have updated the value of the variable mynum, so it has been updated from 15 to 20. So upon calling mynum, instead of printing 15, it will directly call for 20. So here you can see the output. The first output I got it was upon printing the variable name was John. Upon printing mynum was 15 and upon updating the value of the mynum, it got replaced to 20 from 50. Let's see another example. Now in this, I have taken a data of a student. So student data basically contains the name, the ID, age, and what is the fee of the student and what is the grade he has got. So what I have done is I've added a student name, say John Doe, and to this I have added a return type as string. Second variable which I have taken is student ID. Now this student ID is assigned with the value 15, and it is again, since I have taken the value assigned is 15, so it is taken as integer. Next I have taken is student age. To this I have assigned the value as 23, and it is again of the type integer. Float. Now student fee, of course, the amount can be in a floating decimal place. So I have mentioned it float. If I want, I can also take double. So since I have mentioned float, I have mentioned here F. Now last is what is the grade of the student. So for that I have taken a variable name, say student grade. Now to this, since the value is B and I have assigned with a single quote, so I have taken the data type as cap. Now let's print these variables. So for the first one, I'm trying to print student name. So student name, whatever the student name is, that is John Doe, it has to come. So in quotation, whatever we write, that becomes our print statement. Now next, what I'm trying to do is I'm concatenating it with the variable student name, so that whatever the name has been stored in the variable, it will just print the student name. Similarly, it goes with student ID. Now here I am trying to print like student ID. Now if you want, you can also write student ID is. So what I have done is I have concatenated it with the variable student ID. Now since student ID is being called here, it will directly go to this variable. Now student ID contains the value 15, so it will just print it 15. The next is I have taken is student age. So student age is again student age with the colon. So I have concatenated it with student age. So student age will go directly to this value. Now this variable is assigned with the value 23. So it will read 23 and it will print 23. Student fee. So student fee will again go here. It will read the value 75.25 and it will print the value. Last one is grade. It will read the student grade. It will print the corresponding value. So this is how my output will look like. It will just print the same way the output should look, followed by the values assigned to the given variables. So this is why the variable is very important while writing any program. So it depends on what the variable you are using and what is the value you are assigning. Again, to define a variable, we need an identifier. Now, identifier is used to name a variable and it has certain rules to name any variable. So let's move to the next one. Okay. So here, what I'm trying to do is I've taken a class, say class A of type public, and here in the main function, I've taken three strings. So for the first string, I've taken a variable name first name. For the second string, I've taken a variable name last name. And for the third string value, I've taken the variable as full name. So there are three variables naming first name, last name, and the full name. So first name variable is being assigned with the value name Sneha. Now since this is string, so I've taken double quotations. Second one is Kashyap. So to this, I've just assigned quotations and I've assigned the value Kashyap. So Kashyap is being stored in last name. Now in the name full name, what I'm trying to do is I'm giving printing first name plus last name. So since first name plus last name, and I'm trying to print system.out.println, and I'm trying to print the full name. So upon add giving an add operation here, giving an add operator here, it is trying to print Sneha Kashyap. Now you can notice this that it does not has any kind of you can see space is not there. Now in order to print the space, what I need to do is I need to give a command say plus, I have to give a space in between and then I'll give another plus. So it will print the complete name with the space. But what I want to show is, let's see the next part. We have taken another variable, say x and y. Now to this x, I have taken the variable value as 5, and for y variable, I have stored the value 6. And both are of return type integer. Now I am performing system.out.println x plus y. To this, it is prompting an output as 6 plus 5 is equal to 11. So what we can see is, if we are concatenating or we are trying to use a plus operator to two strings, it basically concatenate it. But if we are trying to use the plus symbol in place of integer values or floating point values, it is trying to do the arithmetic operation to it. So it's very obvious that how a plus symbol works in two different places, but we are using it for the same purpose. So this is how a basic variable can be declared, it can be initialized and can be used for different purposes. Okay, now let's see what are the different ways of writing a variable. Now let's take a first example. For the first example, I've taken three variables, right? So three variables are my x, y, and z. So if I say the first variable, say x. So x is being assigned the value as 5. For y, the value is being assigned as 6, and for the z, the value is being assigned as 50. Now what I'm trying to do is system.out.println x plus y z plus z. So if you do this first part, it will simply print the value as x plus y plus z is nothing but 11 plus 50, that is 61, right? So what it will do is it will print it. But instead of writing like this, we can simply write it in a single line also. So we can simply give int x is equal to 5, comma, y is equal to 6, comma, z is equal to 50. So system.out.println x plus y plus z. So both the lines means the same, and it also saves the line and it also saves the time. Instead of writing the integer 3 times, we can rather write it 1 time and we can initialize the value. So this is just one of the way to initialize the value. Now let's see the same thing in terms of program. So I've taken here the class with the name A and it is of type public. So what I've done is I've taken public static void main string args. Now I'm taking x ka value as 5, y I have taken as 6, z I have taken as 50. System.out.println x plus y plus z. Now if I'm doing x plus y plus z, so what it is trying to print is, it is printing 61. Since 5 plus 6 is 11 and 11 plus 50 is 61. So it is printing the value 61. Now what I am doing is, now I am updating the value of x, y and z from 5, x ka value being 5, y's value being 6 and z's value being 50. I am initializing it to 50. So all three x and y and z value is 50 right now. Now if I put the statement as print.out.print system.out.println x plus y plus z, so 50 plus 50 plus 50, so it will simply print 150. Now next is typecasting. So typecasting plays a very vital role in any of the programming language. Now it is a very simple concept but very important. So what we do is, in typecasting, we basically assign a value of one primitive data type to another primitive data type. But when we talk about in Java, we have two different types of typecasting. That is widening typecasting and narrowing typecasting. Widening is also called as automatic click typecasting, and narrowing typecasting is called as manually typecasting. So what is basically typecasting? Now the primitive data types, it is integer, float, char. So what we can do is we can convert from one to another. So this typecasting is very important and it is required. Now to this we have certain rules and regulations. So let's see what is widening typecasting. So widening typecasting is nothing but converting a smaller type to a larger type of data. Now let's say byte. Byte is smaller to short. Similarly, short is smaller to char. Char is smaller to integer. Integer is smaller to long. And long is smaller to float. And float is smaller to double. Now, when I'm saying all these things, I mean is it depends on the size. Now, if you say byte, the byte contains the size 1. The char contains the size 4 and so on. So, the size of the data type, so from smaller to larger, we can convert the data. If we are doing this, like suppose if we are taking short value or it is wide value. So wide value can be easily converted to a short value, right? So this is when we can convert from small to larger. So converting it from smaller to larger is easier, but converting it from larger to smaller is quite difficult. So while converting from smaller to larger, we call it as widening casting. And similarly, while converting from larger data type to smaller data type, we call it as narrowing casting. So in narrowing casting or manual casting, we convert from higher data type to lower data type. So here double, float, long, integer, character, short and byte is the way of converting it. So double can be converted to float, float can be converted to long, long can be converted to integer, and character can be converted to short, and short can be converted to byte. We can also convert double to byte directly, and also we can convert byte to double directly. So this is how this widening casting and narrowing casting works. So next, let's see the example of typecasting. So here what I have done is I've taken a class with the name A and I've given I've set the string arguments in the main function which is of type void and it is having a keyword static and it has an access specifier public. So I have taken here two variables which is max score and user score and both is of type integer. So max score is basically it will set the maximum possible score in the game out of that is 500 and the actual score which the user has scored is 423 out of 500. So these are the two values which I have set for scoring. Now what I need to do is I have to calculate the percentage of user score in relation to the maximum available score. So how to convert the user score to the float? Now the data type is of type integer, right? So in order to convert the user score to float, to make sure that the division is accurate, what I'll do is I'll use typecasting. So for typecasting, what I've done is I've taken another variable named percentage in order to calculate the percentage and I've given the return type as float. Now, since the user score was of type integer, what I have done is I have taken as a type casting and instead of taking integer, I have mentioned it as float. Now, what I am trying to do is user score divided by maximum score into 100 that will result out into the percentage and then I'm giving the command as system.out.println users percentage is plus percentage. Now as soon as I give the variable percentage here, it will directly go to this place and from here the calculated value that is your user score is 423 divided by 500 into 100. So 100 it will result into 84.6. So this will be the final output that will be shown. So how an integer value is being typecasted to the float value, right? So this is how a typecasting is being done. Now moving to the next topic, that is operators in Java. Now the operators in Java is basically divided into the following group, that is arithmetic operator, assignment operator, comparison operator, logical operator, and bitwise operator. Now, in order to understand what is arithmetic, assignment, comparison, logical, and bitwise operator, first we need to understand what is operator actually. So in Java, operators are symbols used to perform operations on variables and its values. So they are used to manipulate data. We can make the decisions, and also we can means we can make the decision and we can control the flow of the program. So operators are the fundamental part of any programming language, and Java is no exception. So in this coming slides, we will explore what are the different types of operators in Java, what are their syntax, examples, and how to use them. Now, before going to that, first let me tell you in short what are these operators which I have mentioned here. So first one is arithmetic operator. Now, as you know, the term arithmetic is always related to mathematical operations. So basic operations like addition, subtraction, taking out the product, division, and so on can be calculated using arithmetic operator. Next we have is assignment operator. Now, as the word only says assignment, so we can assign the values to the operator. Third is comparison operator, which we can use to compare two variables. Logical operator. Now here we use certain Boolean logic, that is and, or, and not, in order to calculate the values of the two variables. The last one is your bitwise operator. Apart from this, we have an operator, special operator called as ternary operator. Now let's look into the arithmetic operator in detail. So the arithmetic operator basically contains plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus, double plus, and double minus. So plus basically called as addition, minus is basically called as subtraction. Then we have this asterisk mark, which is basically called as multiplication, followed by the division, then modulus. This double plus is called as increment, and double minus is called as decrement. Add, addition is basically we can add two variables. Now as you can see in this slide, I have taken two variables naming x and y. To this, adding this operator plus will result into addition of these two variables. Next is subtraction. So basically it will subtract the one value from the other. So what we can do is we can take x plus y for addition, and also we can take x minus y for subtraction. So next is multiplication. Now if we want to multiply two values, so simply we can give x into y. For dividing one value to another in order to get fractional value or the float values, we basically use division sign, that is x divided by y. Now on the division, if we have any remainder and we want the fetch that value, so in order to fetch the remainder value, we will go with modulus sign. So this percentage sign is also called as modulus sign, and if we call this between the two variables, it will basically return the remainder of the program. Now moving to the increment and decrement. Increment and decrement plays a very vital role in the programming language. So if we are using plus plus x, so what it will do is it will just increase the value of the variable by 1. Similarly, if we do minus minus x, so it will just decrease the value of the variable by 1. So these are the basic arithmetic operators which we use in our Java programming. Now let's see of an example how to illustrate these arithmetic operators. So what I have done is I have taken here the class main, and in this class main now let's look into the assignment operator. So moving to the next part, let's look into the example. So the first example is public class. I've named the class as main. To this, I've moved to the main method. In this main method, I'm passing the string arguments. And what I've done is I've taken the return type as void. I've taken the keyword static and I've given the access specifier public. Now, I've taken two variables x and y. To this, I've assigned the value as 5 and 3, and also I've defined the data type as integer. Now, if I'm giving x plus 5, so x plus 5 will give me the result as 5 plus 3, that will result me as 8. Next, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use minus operator. So here 5 minus 3. Upon using 5 minus 3, so 5 minus 3 is 2. So it will simply print 2. Next, I'm trying to use the product operator. So here I'm using multiplication operator. So 5 into 3. Now this sums out to be 15. Next, what I'm trying to do is I'm dividing 5 by 3. So 3 ones are 3 and we have 2 remainder, right? So I have got the remainder as 1. Now, next what I am trying to do is I have taken y and I have updated the value from 3 to 2. Now, since I have updated the value from 3 to 2, now my new y value will become 2. So next what I have tried to give the system as command as x mod 2. Now this modulus will only print the remainder. So upon dividing 5 divided by 2, so 2 twos are 4, the remainder is 1, right? So we will get the mod value as 1. Next, what we are trying to give is we are giving plus plus x. Now plus plus x will do what? It will read the value of x. So since the value of x is 5, now 5 plus 1. So it will result to 6. Yes. So new updated value of x is 6 right now. Earlier it was 5. Upon giving an increment operator, it became 6. So now what we will do is we will use minus minus operator. Upon using minus minus operator, what it will do is it will use x minus 1. Now earlier the value of x was 6, and if I am using x minus 1, so it becomes 6 minus 1, so it becomes the value 5. So this is how you can use the arithmetic operator in a Java program. You can also use this in C, C++ and Python programming also. Next we have is assignment operator. So the assignment operator, I have said earlier also, assignment operator, the word also says assign. So here we have in total 1, 2, 3. We have first operator as equal operator. So second plus equal. Third is minus equal. We have star equal followed by divide equal, modulus equal, and equal, or equal, not equal, or equal, less than equal, greater than equal. So let's see what are these operators for. So simply if I give a variable name say x and I assign the value 5 to it. So the value will be x. X will store the value 5, right? Now what if I give x plus equals to 3? Now if I have given x plus equals to 3, it means x is equal to x plus 3. Next is x minus equals to 3. So x minus equals to 3 means x is equal to x minus 3. So what it will do is, suppose if I store the value of x is 5. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So the current value of x will become 2 instead of 5. Next is the fourth one. So fourth one is x multiplication equals to 3. So if I take x value as 5, so what I can do here is 5 is equal to, sorry, x is equal to 5 into 3. So 5 3s are 50. So the value of x will become 15 instead of 5. So here 5 instead of 5, the value will become 15. So this is how a shorthand operator, or you can call it assignment operator, is used. The next is x divided equals to 3. So x divided equals to 3 is equivalent to x is equal to x divided by 3. So it will be, suppose x is value of x is 6. So if I divide 6 by 3, I'll be getting the remainder as 2. So earlier the value of x was 6, but upon updation, the value becomes 2. Next is x mod equals to 3. Now x mod equals to 3 means, now if I take modulus value, so let's say x value is equal to 5. So 5 upon divided by 3, so it will become 3 ones are 3 and remainder becomes 2. So updated value of x will be 2. Next is x is equal to x and 3. So here AND operation will basically perform and it will get the output as true and false. Similarly, not, or, and greater than. So here it will be x greater than equal to 3, which means x is equal to x is greater than 3. Similarly, x is equal to less than 3. So let's look into a simple employee salary management system program, which will basically use assignment operator to illustrate the values. So let's take a class with the name assignment operator. Now, in a program, what I've done is I've taken a main function. In this, I'm giving a system.out.println where I'm trying to show that I'm giving a case study on employee salary management using the assignment operator. Now here what I'll do is I'll simply declare and initialize the value. So in order to declare and initialize the variables, I've taken three variables. First is my basic salary, which I've given the name as base salary, followed by the bonus salary, and the next is the deduction. So base, these three are of data type integer, and it is basically using the value as, say, the basic salary is 50,000, bonus given is 10,000, and deduction done is 5,000. So if I give a command, say system.out.println initial basic salary plus base salary. So it will directly print initial base salary is 50,000. Next, I'll give the command, say system.out.println bonus plus bonus. So what it will print is, this bonus will directly move here and it will read the value as 10,000. So it will give bonus equals to 10,000. The last one is the deduction. And since the deduction variable stores the value 5,000, so it will print deduction plus equals to 5,000. Now, how can we calculate the basic salary using assignment operator? Now, if we add the basic salary to the bonus, we can get the we can get the basic salary updated using the bonus. So what I have used is, instead of giving base salary is equal to base salary plus bonus, I can directly use base salary plus equals to bonus. So upon using assignment operator, what it will do is, since my base salary was 50,000, so it will add 10,000 to it. So my current base salary will become 60,000, right? So in this, it will be stored. The earlier value was 50. So the current value, so it got updated to 60,000. So upon printing system.out.println, salary after bonus addition. So upon adding the bonus, my current base salary got updated to 60,000. So it will print salary after bonus addition is 60,000. Next is deduction. Now, in order to calculate the deduction, I have to do base salary minus deduction. So, in order to subtract, I can directly use shorthand operator, that is minus equal to. So, it will be base salary is equal to base salary minus deduction. So, system.out.println salary after deduction is plus base salary. So here, so what it will do is, now initially my salary was 50,000. Upon deduction of 5,000, my updated salary becomes 45,000. So it will print salary after deduction is 45,000. Now, if incrementing and multiplying the salary based on the performance rating. So what we will do is, I've taken a variable named performance rating and I've initialized the value to 2. Now, I've taken this data type as integer. Now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to calculate the performance rating. So, performance rating can be calculated by base salary is equal to base salary into performance rating. So, since the base salary is 50,000 and performance rating is 2, so what I can do is I can just multiply. So, it will be base salary is equal to base salary into performance rating, that is 50,000 into 2. So, I'll get around 1 lakh. So, system of salary after performance multiplier is 10,000. It's 1 lakh. Now, let's take using division assignment operator. So here what I am doing is int month is equal to 12. Now the month variable is assigned with the value 12. So monthly salary is equal to whatever the base salary is divided by months. So it will print the monthly salary. So here I have given is monthly salary with the month. Let's see what my output is. So initially base salary was 50,000. The bonus was my 10,000. Deduction was 5,000. Salary after bonus updation became 60. And salary after base deduction, since it was stored 60,000. So after updation, it became 55,000. Now, salary after performance multiplier will become 2 into 55,000. That is 1,10,000. And my monthly salary is 1,10,000 divided by 12. That is 9,166. Moving to the next topic, that is my comparison operator. So the comparison operator basically contains double equal, that is equal to sign. So if I want to say x double equals to y, it means x is equal to y or not. When we use a single equal, it means we are assigning the value. But when we use double equal, we are trying to compare the value. So let's say 10 is greater than 3 or not, or 10 is equal to 3 or not. So here, when comparison comes into the picture, we basically call these operators as comparison operator. So for the first one, let's say 5 equals to 6. X value is 5, Y value is 6. So I can just give a command, say X equals to 5. So 5 equals to 6. So my output will be false. Now, what if X and Y both has the value, say 50. So 50 is equal to 50, the condition becomes true. So my output will become true. Similarly, now if I give x value is equal to 5 and y value is equal to 6. Now 5 not equal to 6. Yes, the condition is true. So it will not print. So it will print the condition true. What if I say x is greater than y? Now 5 is greater than 6. No, it's not possible. So the condition will prompt the output as false. Less than. So is 5 less than 6? Yes, the condition will prompt the output as true. Next, greater than equal to. So is 5 greater than equal to 6? No, of course it is not. So it will prompt the output as false. Next, is 5 less than equal to 6? Yes, the condition is true because 5 is less than 6. So these are the certain operators that is equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So these are the comparison operators. Now let's look into a simple program for a comparison operator. So our software development company is building a user authentication module where they need to compare user entered values with predefined values. So the system will check whether the user entered the age is valid for access or not. Number one. Number two, the user matches the predefined username or not. Third one, the user's entered PIN matches the stored PIN or not. And the last one is the user has entered an admin access code or not. So in order to check all this, we will create a small program that will compare all these values, and let's see how it will work. So this is the case study which will basically demonstrate the comparison operator in Java. So since it's a comparison operator, I've taken the class name as comparison operator and I've given the access specified to the class as public. Now moving to the main function, I have certain predefined values, that is valid age and the user age. So valid age, for the first condition, a user's entered age is valid for access or not. So I've just given that the valid age to do the job is 18, and since the user age is 20. Next, what we have to check was user matches the predefined name or not. So predefined username, I have just given admin, and entered username, user also entered the name with the name as admin. So here valid age, user age, predefined user age, entered user age, all these are my variables. So it has its data type as integer and strings. Next is stored pin. So stored pin is 1, 2, 3, 4 and the entered pin becomes 4321. As my third question asks is, the user has entered the pin that is matched to the stored pin or not. And last one is, the user has entered an admin access code or not. So for admin access code, what I have given is 4 times 9, and similarly user code access code has also been mentioned as triple 4 times 9. So what we have done is valid age and user age is of data type integer and the value is 18 and 20 respectively. Predefined username and entered username is of type string and both have mentioned the value as admin. Next, stored pin and entered pin is of type integer and they have stored the value as 1, 2, 3, 4. But entered pin has been entered as 4321. Now, moving on to the admin access code. So the admin access code was 4 times 9, that is 9999, but the user access code is also 99999. Now, what I'll try to do is, I'll just give a println statement saying user age is greater than the valid age. To check for the first condition, I should give user age, it should be greater than the valid age. Next, user age is less than the valid age. So user age, I am just given the less than command and a valid age. Now, user age is equal to valid age. So I've just given equal sign. Next is user age is not equal to valid age. So user age not equal to valid age. Now let's move into user age and valid age. Since valid age is 18 and user age is 20, so 20 is greater than valid age, the condition is true. Next, user age 20 is less than valid age, it becomes false. Is 20 equal to 18? No, but yes, 20 is not equal to 18. So we have two conditions of true and two conditions of false. Now, system.out.println entered user name matches with the predefined username. So entered username, I'm just using dot equals to predefined username. So it will just print whether it is equal or not. So next one is entered pin is correct or not. So it is, if it is correct, it will use equal sign, and if it is not correct, it will not use not equal sign. So entered pin was 999, 4 times 9, and the entered pin was also 4 times 9. So it is equal to the stored pin. The last one is user admin access. So user admin access is nothing but user access code is equal to admin access code. So user access code was 4 times 9, access code was again 4 times 9. Now let's check for the output. So for the first condition, user age is greater than valid age. So yes, it was, because user age is 18, 20 and the valid age was 18. So condition became true. Now user age is less than valid age. No, the condition cannot be true because user age was 20 but the valid age was 18. So user age was more than the valid age. Now, was the user age equal to the valid age? No, because 18 is not equal to valid age. So here the condition became false. Next, user age is not equal to the valid age. Yes, the 18 is not equal to valid age. So the condition became true. Next was entered user name matches the predefined name. So of course, yes, username, predefined username and entered username both were admin. So it just printed the condition true. Next was entered pin is correct. So entered pin was not correct because entered pin was 4321 but the stored pin was 1234. Last one was admin access code. So admin access code is equal to user access code. Yes, it was equal. So the condition will prompt true. So this is how any comparison operator will give the output in terms of Boolean. That is true and false. Next we have is logical operators. Now logical operators are of three types: and, or, and not. So if we are using logical and, it will return true if both the conditions are true, else it will return false. Logical or will return if one of the statement is true. Any one is true, it will just return true, else it will return false. And logical not, it will reverse the result. Suppose if the output is false, so it will print true, else if it is true, it will print the false result. So this is how any given logical operator works. So let's take an example. Say x is greater than 5 and x is greater than 10. Now let's take the value of x as 6. So 6 is greater than 5. X is less than 5 and also x is less than 10. So we will check for the condition. Now let's take the x value as 6. So is 6 less than 5? Yes, the condition is true. And 6 is less than 10? The condition is again true. Now both are true, so it will return true. But if it is false, it will return the false. Now let's say x is equal to 6. So 6 is less than 5? No. And or 6 is less than 4? No. So here both the conditions are false. But what if I take the value of x as 5 or value of x as 2? So 2 is less than 5? Yes. 2 is also less than 4. So here the condition will be logical or will be working as true. Now, not x is less than 5 and x is less than 10. So x should be less than 5 and x should also be less than 10. Now let's say x value of x is 2. So is 2 less than 5? Yes, of course 2 is less than 5. This condition became true and x is less than 10. So 2 is again less than 10. So here both the condition became true. Now both the condition became true, it will return true, right? But since we have used not command, so it will return the output as false. So logical operator, comparison operator, assignment operators and arithmetic operator. We have seen 4 different types of operators so far, and each and every operator works in a different manner and in a very different way. So all these operators are very important when we write any program logic. The next one is the ternary operator. So the ternary operator is also known as shorthand or shorthand of if else operator. Now if else is a condition which we use. Suppose I want to say, if it rains today, I'll eat ice cream, else I will not eat ice cream. Now I have given the condition of eating an ice cream based on whether it will rain or not. So this type of conditions are called if else. Now these comes under the control statement which we will study in module 3. But if else condition, so as of now I've just given an example so that you get to know what it is. But this if else can be replaced by a ternary operator. So because ternary operator contains 3 operators, that is equal, followed by question mark, followed by colon. So we can use 3 different operators and we can just give a single line statement. So ternary operator can be used to replace multiple line of codes with a single line and is most often used to replace simple if else statement. It is very easy to run and very less time taking. So now let's see how it works. What is the syntax of writing any ternary operator? So what we can do is we can take a simple variable. To this variable we have to give the condition. Let's say I said earlier whether it will rain today or not. So raining today is a condition. So if it rains today, if the expression, if it rains, of course I'll eat the ice cream. Else, if the else is working like a question colon, and if is working as a question mark. So else, if it does not rain today, I'll not have ice cream. So these type of conditions are nothing but the ternary operator. Now, here is a simple example that will illustrate, since you have not done, we have not come across module 3. So I'll just simply illustrate how a if else works and how this if else will be replaced by a ternary operator. Since these both programs are the same and it returns the same output, but the way of writing and the number of line of code here becomes very less. So what we have done is, in the first part, I've taken the class name as A. For the second also I've taken as A. Now in the main function I have given one variable, say time. So for time I've initialized the value as 20 and I've given the data type as integer. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm checking for if my time is less than 18 or not. Since it is not less than 18, so what it is saying is, if it is less than 18, if condition is true, you have to print good day. Else, if the condition becomes false, you have to just print good evening. Now, 20 is less than 80. No, 20 is greater than 18. So, since 20 is greater than 18, the condition became false. So, the true part won't run. So, it will directly print good evening. So, here the output becomes good evening. Now for the same program, when using ternary operator, I've taken same class as A. Now what I have done is, I've taken two variables here, time and the result. Now what I'm trying to do is, for result, I'm storing the variable, in the result variable, I'm storing the value of a ternary. So as the statement says, variable is equal to condition, question mark, expression is true, colon, expression is false, followed by semicolon. So here the variable is result is equal to time is less than 18. So less than 18, question mark, good day, colon, else, good evening. So system.out.print, print the result. So what it is? Result, if it is less than 80, then print good day, else print good evening. So 20 is less than 80. Yes. So it will print good day. No. 20 is greater than 18. So it will print good evening. So this is how ternary operator replaces this 1, 2, 3, 4 line of code into just a single line of code. So it's very easy to use ternary operator instead of your normal if-else operator. The last topic of this module is operator precedence and its associativity. Now, what is operator precedence and what is its associativity? So far, we have seen so many operators like assignment operator, arithmetic operator, logical operators, ternary operator, comparison operator. So what all these operators were doing so far? So these operators basically created the different methods of using them in the program. We have seen that how our basic assignment operators, arithmetic operators work. We saw that how addition works, how multiplication works, how difference works, how division works, how a modulus works. The next way we checked was what is arithmetic, what is comparison operators. So in comparison, we check greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, where we check whether the value is greater than equal to or less than equal to the other value. So whatever was the result, based on that, it was throwing the output in terms of Boolean, that is true and false, right? So now what we will do is, we will look into the operator precedence. So operators, each and every operator has its precedence value. Now, in your earlier days when you have studied maths, you have come across the BODMAS rule. So the BODMAS basically illustrates bracket of multiplication, division, addition and subtraction, right? So what we did was, bracket we used to solve the first, followed by, if the off is there, then we used to solve the division, then multiplication, then addition, and at last we used to solve the subtraction. Similarly, so far I have shown you so many operators. Each and every operator has its precedence value and its associativity. Suppose if you have a program based on it has a symbol and it has the values. So you will solve those values based on its operator's precedence along with its associativity. Now let's check what are these operators precedence and its associativity. So the first one is bracket. Now this bracket is called as parenthesis, right? Now you use this for function call, for method call. So this parenthesis is given an associativity of left to right. Suppose you have a bracket with x greater than y, and also you have a plus symbol in the center, and you have another variable, say x less than y. Now both has the parenthesis. So which one to operate first? So we will always move from left towards the right. Second is array subscript. Now array subscript, or we call the square bracket. Now this square bracket is basically used for assigning the array size. So this again follows the precedence one with associativity left to right. The next one is dot operator. Now dot operator we have seen so far in so many statements, right? System dot out dot println. So similarly, dot operator will have the precedence from left to right, its associativity, and its precedence value is 1. Next is structured pointer operator. Now if we are using any pointer value, so we basically assign with a symbol like hyphen and followed by an arrow. So this structured pointer operator is also having the precedence value of 1, and it follows left to right associativity. Now the last one which comes under the precedence one is plus plus operator and minus operator, that is also called as increment and decrement operator, which we saw in the comparison operators. So this basically has the associativity from left to right. Moving to the next part, the second one. So these are the another type of operators. So we have increment and decrement followed by plus, unary plus and minus. So increment and decrement operator basically uses associativity as right to left, and it has a precedence value of 2. Similarly, unary plus and minus will have the precedence value 2, and it will be used from right to left. The third one is logical NOT and bitwise complement operator. So these again share the precedence value 2, and you can use it from right to left. The next is cast operator, the type casting, which we saw the example earlier, where we converted the integer type to the float. So here, if type casting is there, so we will always operate it from right to left. The next is difference operator. Now, what is this difference operator? Difference operator is basically known as a pointer operator. Now, this is again executed from right to left. Now, difference operator and multiplication operator both are different. So, if it is difference operator between the variables, we will have the precedence value 2. But if it is multiplication variable, so we will use the precedence value 3. Now, next is address of operator. Now, if we assign a variable and we have not stored any value, now you want to store the value at the time of calling. So there the reference variable comes. And since the variable has not been assigned any value, we use AND operator in front of the variable in order to address the value. So it has the precedence value 2, and it uses from right to left. The next one is address size of value. Now suppose you have a variable of type integer or byte. So if it is of type byte, so it will have the precedence value 2 and it will be associated from right to left. The third one is multiplication, division and modulus, the assignment operators. Now these three assignment operators uses the precedence value 3 and it operates from right to left. The fourth one is the addition and the subtraction operator. Now these are the precedence value of 4 and it is being operated from left to right. Next we have bitwise operator, that is bitwise shift left and bitwise shift right. So these share the precedence value 5 and you can use it from left to right. The next is relational less than or relational less than or relational equal to operator. So relational less than or equal to operators. So this relational less than and less than equal to operator both has the precedence value of 6 and they show from left to right. Similarly, relational greater than and greater than equal to both has the precedence of 6 and they has the associativity from left to right. Next is uh, relational is equal to and not equal to. So both has the precedence value of 7 and they operate from left to right. So as you can see in this slide, most of them operate from left to right. Now, next one, uh, bitwise AND operator. Now it has an associativity of 8 and its precedence value is 8 and it's associated from left to right. Similarly, bitwise exclusive OR, it is associated from left to right with the precedence value of 9. The next one is bitwise inclusive OR, it has a precedence value of 10 and it's associated from left to right. The next is logical AND, it operates from left to right, but it has a precedence value 11. The last one in this slide is logical OR. So logical OR basically shares the precedence value of 12 and it is having an associativity from left to right. So in this slide, you can see that all the precedence value from 5 to 12 basically shares the associativity from left to right. So if you find this in any type of simplification question, you will first go with the based on the order. So anything like with the highest order will be solved first and the value with the least order will be solved in the last. Next is ternary conditional operator. So ternary conditional operator has an associativity from right to left, but it has a precedence value of 30. Next is assignment operator, addition, subtraction assignment operator, multiplication, division assignment operator, modulus and assignment operator, exclusive OR and inclusive OR assignment operators, bitwise shift left and right assignment operators. So all these basically share the uh, basically it shares the precedence value 40 and it basically has an associativity from right to left. Here the last one is comma, which is also known as expression separator. So any comma used in a simplification expression, it will be having a precedence value 15 and it will always operate from left to right. So with this, we come to the end of the module 2. Thank you.